Hey, what do you know? The Carolina Hurricanes are actually playing a game right now as I'm speaking into this microphone. They're playing off against the New York Islanders, but we're not going to be talking about this game versus the Islanders. It's not even done yet at the time of me recording this audio. We have to talk about the Carolina Hurricanes because they have just made a trade. A guy did not want to stick around with them. He rejected Carolina, so the Canes earlier this afternoon did their business in sending him away. This piece of news actually came at about 1 p.m. PST, an hour before this hockey game began between Carolina and the Isles. But because the news happened whilst the Canucks game was going on, and I was also making the video for the Montreal game, it was not really... Oh, Carolina just scored. 3-3. Look at that, eh? I was like, yeah, we can just wait to make this video here, because I wanted to turn your attention over to Lucas Mercuri out of UMass in the NCAA. Mercuri is a 23-year-old Quebec native, 6'3", 192, a right-handed center, who was drafted by the Carolina Hurricanes in the 2020 draft, 6th round, 159th overall. Mercuri was taken out of the USHS Prep School League, scoring 41 points in 28 games played. He also played one game for the Des Moines Buccaneers in that season, and his scouting report reads this on Elite Prospects. He is much bigger than the average UHSH player at 6'3", 201. He has a solid understanding of developing plays and teammate positions. He did his best offensive work down low, swinging the puck into the slot. Now, Mercuri is an interesting name, because he had just wrapped up 4 years with UMass in the NCAA, and he had scored 31 points in 40 games as a senior for the team with an A on his sweater. However, Carolina has just traded Mercuri away over to the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for a 2025 6th round pick. Tampa is signing Mercuri to an ELC that begins next season. He was ineligible to play this season post-deadline. So, this happened, as I had said, at about 1:18 p.m., so the Canucks game was already in full flight. I didn't want to interrupt that to make a video for a trade. We can just do the trade video after. But Lucas Mercuri is going through a pretty interesting development right here. Because not only is he a big center, a guy who can play well down low, if we head over to his Elite Prospects scouting report on the draft guide, there are a few interesting notes about him being able to play that physical game and stand up tall and just be a force out there on the ice. But to expand more on Lucas Mercuri, his story, and why he rejected the Carolina Hurricanes, let's go over to dailyfaceoff.com. Because earlier last week, Stephen Ellis published this post talking about how Mercuri will not sign with the Hurricanes after finishing his NCAA career. Sources have told Daily Faceoff that UMass College standout Lucas Mercuri has noted the Carolina Hurricanes that he will not sign with the club this offseason. The Hurricanes have offered Mercuri to teams in exchange for a draft pick. They can trade his rights before August 15th, 2025, but he will become a UFA if not signed by then. The 6'3" forward has 10 goals and 31 points in 38 games, his 4th season at UMass. It's the highest output of his college career, which started out in style after taking home the Hockey East title in 21-22. Mercuri had a breakout season last year with 9 goals and 25 points while not backing down from a physical challenge. Included are some clips of him scoring. Off the scoreboard, Mercuri is a big forward and he isn't afraid to mix it up. He's good around the net, often taking away space from goaltenders. The Montreal, Quebec native has established himself as a two-way threat who has some decent offensive upside. His skating has improved in recent years, since going in the 6th round to the Hurricanes in 2020, something that could help him adapt better to the NHL. Mercuri's combination of size, skill, and two-way play should allow him to adjust to the pro ranks quite quickly next season. The former Des Moines Buccaneers forward was a bit of a late bloomer, but one that kept showing steady improvement from year to year. It's not completely unheard of that a notable college player was traded before signing their first NHL career. That should say NHL contract, Stephen Ellis. One notable example was Adam Fox, who wouldn't sign with the Calgary Flames and was traded to the Hurricanes. From there, he didn't sign with the Hurricanes either before eventually landing with the Rangers. The UMass Minutemen are currently awaiting their first-round NCAA tournament opponent after losing in the Hockey East quarterfinals last weekend. So, Mercuri does not want to stick around with the Carolina Hurricanes organization. It doesn't exactly say why that is, but it does say that he told the team, hey, I'm not going to sign with you guys, sorry. So, I guess Carolina had no choice but to send him over to Tampa Bay for a 2025 6, which is fine when you think about the fact that Mercuri himself was also a 6th-round pick. Essentially, Carolina turned a 2020 6th-round pick into a 2025 6th-round pick. So really, no harm, no foul, no intrinsic loss in value here. If I had to fill in the blanks as to why a guy like Mercuri would not want to stick around in Carolina, you can debate that because Carolina has so many younger guys that are meaningful NHL prospects, a lot of guys that are analytical darlings. We know the Canes have had a really strong scouting staff the past few years, and they've had a whole bunch of draft picks over the years too. There are just a number of names, more names you can debate, that need to be defeated in order to overtake them in the Carolina Hurricanes depth chart. That's kind of a dramatic way to put it, but Carolina has a lot more younger talent that I think is notable versus Tampa Bay, where they actually do have a pretty nice emphasis on these bigger dudes that can play big and strong and tough. Tanner Jeannot is, of course, the biggest guy that comes to mind in that respect. Barclay Goodrow played some sort of that way. Patty Maroon as well. Tampa likes these guys. Nick Paul also is in that mold. So Lucas Mercuri seems like he's right up their alley. He's the kind of guy that they would like. And who knows, man, the Tampa Bay Lightning, from the Alex Barré-Boulets to some of the other guys they've had in Syracuse, they've had a really good time developing these AHL talents to becoming meaningful NHL contributors. Maybe not necessarily in the raw hard point production, but just being able to contribute in physical, down low board battling kind of ways. So Lucas Mercuri, this could be a match made in heaven in terms of his overall play style and what he could be bringing to the Tampa Bay Lightning, not to mention what the Lightning could be bringing out of him. So ultimately, this is a very small trade, but it's a trade that I think we do need to acknowledge because Lucas Mercuri rejected the Carolina Hurricanes. They traded him away to Tampa. It all took place today because you are allowed to make trades after the trade deadline. It's just not usually common, only because teams need to get rid of specific guys. That's why you'll usually see a trade. And it seems like Mercuri has indeed agreed to signing a contract, an ELC, that begins next season. So that wouldn't have happened with Carolina. They decided to send him off. I mean, even the article goes out there and said that they were trying to send him away for a draft pick earlier in the week, but it seems like it finally got done today. So if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, if you're a UMass Minutemen fan, or a Carolina Hurricanes fan, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Lucas Mercuri saying no to Carolina, saying yes to Tampa Bay, and the fact that these two teams got a trade done to make it possible? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.